In this video, I'm going to show you how to scrape Google Maps for cold leads all within n8n. This workflow will allow you to get various details about a business, such as their contact details, their email, where they're based, their reviews, any pain points they might have. And it will even generate a summary of all of this information and any pain points you can target in your outreach message, which will also create based on all of the information it's gathered. Hopping straight into the n8n workflow now, we're going to go to our first module, which is a form submission module. So clicking on this, we can see we've got a few things we need to fill out, but we'll actually execute this step so to see what the form is going to look like when we filled out all these details. So we've got here, we've actually got a search query, which is what we're going to be putting into Google Maps for what we want to search for. So whether that may be, for example, gyms or restaurants or I don't know, that could be anything. The location where we want to search for it. So that could be London, the US. It could be, it could be as broad or specific as you like. And then how many results we want to get from that. So do you want to find 5 places, 10 places, 50 places, 100 places? And obviously the more places you find, the more it's going to cost. But this is all on quite a small scale, relatively speaking. So it's not going to cost you too much. So generating this form here, we've got our URL here, which we could copy into somewhere else if we wanted to put this form on a website or whatever it may be. But we're just going to leave that there. Authentication, we're going to leave as none for now, just for the purpose of this tutorial. We called it Google Maps Scraper, but you can call that whatever you like. And again, fill in the description with how you want to describe your form. These are the real important parts here is the form elements. So we want to add a field name, and this is going to be the first one that was on the top of our form, which is a search query. So this is what we're going to be looking for, gyms, restaurants, whatever it may be. And we're going to leave this element type as text here. And you can put a placeholder in there if you want to, but I haven't bothered doing this. We're going to put this as a required field. Our next one's going to be location. Again, it's going to be text. I'll just put a placeholder here, Reading, UK, which is where my company Inovio is based. But again, you can put this wherever you want. London, Melbourne, Washington, whatever it is. You can fill this in with whatever value you want to. Again, put this as a required field. And our third and final field name is called max number of results. So this is how many places we want to scrape from Google Maps. This is also element type of text, and we put a placeholder of 5 for here for now. And then our final option here at the bottom is just when to respond, and we're going to leave this as when the form's submitted. So connected to the next part of the module after the form submission in the modules here, which are actually going to do the hard work and do the scraping from Google Maps. And it's an Apify actor, which is going to do this work. So if we go ahead and click on the module here, this module is called Run Actor. And there's a few different fields we're going to need to fill out here. We're going to need to connect to our Apify account. Luckily, n8n has made it really easy to connect to your Apify account. So if you go over to the Apify store, sign up for an account if you haven't got one yet, then go to your settings area, go to API and integrations, and you can find your personal API key, which you can copy here, or you can create a new one if you want to separate out your API keys between different platforms that you use. This would be a smart idea to do, is if one gets leaks or you want to track where all your spending is going, this would be useful to do. But for now, we just want to copy this key here, head back over to the Apify module over in n8n. I'm going to click on the pencil here, and you'll just need to fill in your API credentials into here. It'll be really easy. I'm pretty sure that's the only thing you need to put in. Just copy your API key in, and then the n8n will do the rest. Okay, then once you've connected your Apify account up, on resource, we want to select actor. And then operation, we want to do run an actor. So this is going to allow us to select an actor or a tool, if you like, from the Apify store. And it will allow us to execute that tool on Apify. On actor tools here, you can either select recently used actors or Apify store actors. It doesn't really matter, but we're going to leave on recently used actors for now. And then we want to go ahead and select Google Maps Scraper here. This is the reference path for it here, compass/crawler-google-places. If you can't see it on your list, you can actually also do it by various different things. So you can do it by the URL or by the ID, which if you head back over onto Apify, you can find over here. All the information is given over on Apify. And then the final field we need to fill out is going to be the input JSON field. So open this up to see it full screen. And we can copy this JSON actually from the Apify website. So if we go back over to Apify, we can see over here on the homepage, we've got manual version here, which we can see all the different fields. Or if we click on JSON, we can actually get this here, which is pretty much what I've gone and copied over. So you want to copy this, paste that back into your n8n workflow. And then there's going to be a few fields you want to change here. So you can adjust these how you want to, true or false, these ones here. But the main ones we're going to want to change are the location query, i.e. where we're searching for Google Maps to scrape. So this is going to be the location that we would have inputted from our form. We can't drag and drop that right now because we never submitted anything on our form. But if you submit something on your form, you'll have things to drag and drop here. The max full places per search. So that's how many things we're going to search for. So remember our placeholder was 5. And then the final one is the search strings array. So this is going to be filled with our search query, i.e. what it is we're looking for, gyms, restaurants, etc. Now, there's actually a couple of fields that I added on top of what we copied from that JSON from Apify, and it's the max reviews and review sort. There may be a couple of others, but just double check. But these ones are really important because they allow us to pull the 3 lowest reviews that are found from Google Maps, and this can help us find pain points from customers, and as a result, we can generate really specific output targeted messages when we're reaching out to these cold leads. For example, we might find that in some of the reviews, it's been found that the parking for a certain restaurant is really bad. And this could be really useful for a company to know when they're making their cold outreach message somewhere. That's the JSON done, and that is our first Apify module complete. Now, once we've sent that off to Google Maps to scrape for those places, we want to get that data back from Google Maps. So now we need to put in another Apify module, and this is the get items module. I'm going to get some dataset items here. So again, you would have already set up your Apify account, so you won't have to do that again. Leave the resources dataset. Operation is going to be get items here. And our dataset ID is what we're going to find from our previous module. Now, as we haven't run that previous module yet, there's nothing for us to drag and drop here. But once you've run the previous module to this, you'll be able to drop the ID from that into this dataset ID box here. And we want to make sure this is an expression here because this ID is going to be changing every time we do different scraping. So make sure this is an expression instead of being fixed. After that, we've got a filter module here, which we've put in. And this pretty much lets us to skip past any places that are permanently or temporarily closed. So you want to go here, add a condition, and you want to set this to a Boolean, and then you want to make sure this is false. Put this to and this is for it being temporarily closed. And again, same thing, want to make that to false. Again, you won't have these places as we haven't run the previous modules yet, but once you have, these will be available to drag and drop in. After we filter out all the places that may be permanently or temporarily closed, we want to go through this whole data set of items that Apify has just scraped and found all this information for. So now we want to put a for loop in here. There's not much change here, just leave this to batch size of 1. And essentially this is going to loop through or go through all of the items in the data set. So one by one, each of the items that were in that data set is going to now go through our AI agent workflow and do all the cool stuff and the main bulk of this workflow really. Now going into our AI agent, we can see where the main bulk of the thinking is going to happen and where the really smart parts of this workflow occur. So if we open the prompt, we could put this as user message, or we could have actually put this as a system message. If we add system message here, probably should have done that, but it doesn't really matter. So getting into the prompt on the AI agent, there's actually quite a lot of detail that we've got in here. So it starts off with telling the agent it's got 2 tasks, and those are to research the business and summarize it with some key details like pain points and any notes on the business that are noteworthy. And the second is to write a personalized LinkedIn message to send to that business based on all the information gathered and touch on any pain points identified. And to find those pain points, we're going to reference the 3 poorest reviews that we found here. So this is why I mentioned putting those extra parameters in the body that we're going to send off to the scraping tool, because we're going to use them here to find pain points that we can use in our personalized outreach message. We then mentioned to use the Perplexity tool for researchers. Perplexity is actually a really good language model, particularly known for this. So we'll come on to how to set that up in a second. We've given it the business information, so this is what we found from our data set. So again, we can't see those values here because we haven't run anything yet, but these will be available to drag and drop in. And I'll show you that at the end, actually, with a full run data set where you can drag and drop these things in, so you know I'm not lying. So fill those parts out, and then we've got some just basic information on how we want to structure this. And now a really important part here is the output format. We've instructed the AI that we want it in a JSON output format. And the reason we want this is because we want 2 outputs. We don't just want one output from the AI. We want one, which is the business notes, as you can see here, and one, which is the LinkedIn message. And in our prompt here, we've given it a bit of an example of how we want to structure this, just to make it really clear and obvious for how we want the AI to output as its format. And then the rest of the prompt here is just an example of the business summary in LinkedIn. Now, I've just quickly generated this prompt, but if I wanted to be really specific and put more time into it, I would say you're a role for a certain type of business, and put a certain person's name, or just leave it as the business name, whatever it may be. And we can make this a lot more personalized and customable. So as you can see, I've actually put in the LinkedIn message for the example from Big Boy Gym. So just a random name that I came up with, pretending like we're emailing or sending a message from some sort of business that runs gyms or involved in the fitness industry in some sort of way, right? But if we wanted to make this more personalized, I'd include a whole intro about who Big Boy Gyms are and, some background information and things like that. But that's pretty much the prompt all done. I'll leave that for you guys to copy in the description, and comment if you want some advice on actually how to build these prompts really effectively, because that's an art within itself. The next part of this is we want to turn on this require specific output format. And this is what is going to allow us to get those 2 outputs, that one for the summary and one for the LinkedIn message. And you can actually see here, it comes with a message saying connect an output pass on the canvas to specify the output format you require. So if we head out of this tool, we can see we've actually got one here. So you want to go ahead, and this parser icon will become available once you tick that box. You want to add a structured output parser here. And this is pretty much where it's going to be your example to give to the AI on how you want to output your message. So as you can see here, we've copied a JSON format example, which is what we want. And we've got one which is business notes and how we want it. And then we've got a LinkedIn message and how we want it. Remember, when you're writing your JSON messages, to have curly brackets, and then the notation is to have speech marks around your parameter, colon, speech marks around the answer for it, comma, and then your next parameter and next associated answer with that. But that's pretty much all for the structured output parts that we want. We just want to go ahead and connect a brain to our AI agent. So I've gone ahead and copied the OpenAI model. I'm just using GPT 4.1 mini, but you can use pretty much anything you want for this. Gemini, Claude, whatever it may be, but I've just gone ahead and used GPT. And then the tool which I mentioned in the prompt was we're going to use a Perplexity model to actually do all our research on a company. So you can see we've gone ahead here, connected our Perplexity account, which is really easy. You just want to go ahead to Perplexity, get your API key, and copy it into this box here, and then you'll be good to go. And then for the description, this is how we describe when to use this tool to the AI. So we've just said, message a model in Perplexity to get information about a given business. The model here, we've just left as Sonar. You can select whichever of these you want. But obviously, if you use like deep research, for example, you can use a few more tokens than if you just use something basic. But the real important part here is the information we put in the messages. So in this text part, we're going to put the business, address, website, and phone, and we're going to attach all of this data that we found from our Google Maps scraper and Apify, and we're going to put that in here, which will get sent off to Perplexity. And that's pretty much all the tools that we need to do all this research. And then the agent will come out with a structured answer. So we'll come out with its two outputs, one being the summary of the businesses found, and the other being the personalized LinkedIn message we want to generate. Now, once it's generated those two things, it's going to send that answer off to our Google Sheets. And in this Google Sheets, it's going to update various different columns with all the different information we've pulled and also generated based on AI. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the Google Sheets now and what it looks like. Over the Google Sheets now, you can see I've just created a really basic Google Sheets form. You can name this whatever you like. I've named it cold leads. But the more important things are the column headers. So we've got a few here. We've got business name, address, phone, email, domain, average reviews, number of reviews, the maps URL, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, quick business information. So this is the summary of what the AI would have done, the scrape date, and the personalized LinkedIn message it would have generated. Now you can actually see on some of these there's a missing LinkedIn message here and there, but those are actually before I added that bit of functionality into this whole workflow. But yeah, go ahead and create the Google Sheets, which is similar to this. And then once you've done that, head back over to your workflow in n8n. After the agent, we want to add in a Google Sheets module here. So we want to add the append row in sheet module. First thing we'll do is connect to your Google Sheets account. This is really easy to do. And once you've done it once, you've done it forever in n8n. You don't need to do it again unless you're, working with different businesses, whatever it may be. And then for the resource here, you can select either of these, but I've just selected sheet within the document. And our operation is we want to append or update a row, but I've just left it as append row. Select the document you want. So ours is cold leads and the sheet is just sheet 1. I never renamed that. And the mapping column we want to do is we want to map them by mapping them over manually. This removes any ambiguity that AI might mess up on, especially for things that we don't need to use any AI workload for. And these things are always going to be in those places if we do it manually. So I'm actually going to go ahead and run this workflow quick, as it's going to be a lot easier to drag and drop these parts here and show you rather than just tell you for this bit. Okay, so I've just gone ahead and run that quickly. And you can see if I go into the other modules as well, we've got things we can drag and drop now. So yeah, like our location, which you can just drag and drop here, number of results, etc. So going back to the Google Sheets, we've got all the things out that we need to drag and drop in. So if we go to the loop over items module, we can drag and drop all the things we need here. So the title, so this box here, the address, wherever it is here, drag that over. The phone number, which should be here. The email, this is red here, but it's only because there hasn't been any email that's been found during the scraping, but you still want to go ahead and drag that over because that won't be the case for all of the places found. The domain, average reviews, etc. But you just want to drag and drop these all over from the loop bit. And also want to fill out when it was scraped here, wherever that is. Yeah, scraped at this part here. And we're going to drop that into the scrape date. Now, the only two fields which aren't going to be from this loop section is going to be the quick business information, which is the summary, and the personalized LinkedIn message. So where it says LinkedIn message here. Now, where we're going to get those from is from the AI agent's output. So that's going to be from the business notes, which we're going to drop into quick business information, and the LinkedIn message. So now you can see why we wanted to structure our output as we did. Because if we didn't specify, it would have just had one output, and both of these parts would have been contained within the same output. That's why we want to have them as two distinct outputs. So once you've gone and matched up all of those fields over, that's pretty much the whole workflow done. It will go through the whole data set in this for loop here, and it will output everything to the Google Sheets. So if we go over to the Google Sheets now, we can actually see the output. So if we go ahead and run this, we'll actually see an example of this in action. So we're going to hit execute workflow here. Search for, we're going to do gyms. Why not? And we're going to do location of London, UK. Keep it pretty generic. And let's do maximum of results 3, just so it's quick. I'm going to hit submit on that. Now you can see our workflow is executing. and it will take a minute or so to execute. So we'll let that go through its steps. Okay, amazing. So it's gone through the whole workflow here, and it should have appended 3 different businesses to that Google Sheet. So it's got a tick with a 3 here. So it suggests it has. So let's go over to the Google Sheets and see if it has done it correctly. Okay, it looks like it's run through all pretty well. So it's filled out the business name, David Lloyd Purley, the address, the phone number, the email. It hasn't found one for this first one, but it's found one for the second one. Its domain, average number of views, number of reviews, maps URL. So it's read out all of these fields really well. But what we're really quite interested in is this business information, the summary, and the LinkedIn message. So if we open this up, you see it's created some really good notes for us here. The services available, what equipment they've got, when they're open, memberships, pain points. So it's notes some really cool things here. So cleanliness issues, staff professionalism complaints, overcrowding, pricing, security, parking issues. So this is all a really good summary so far. See, it's done a similar thing for the other 2 as well. Pure gym, no air conditioning, standard. Then let's go ahead and look at the LinkedIn message as well. So it's gone, hello, David Lloyd, Purley team. It's gone, yeah, recently reached out to your club and see you offer a great range of facilities. However, note some feedback about cleanliness, staff attentiveness, facility upkeep, etc. Issues like long wait times, maintenance problems. I'd love to share how we can help boost your operational efficiency, boost customer satisfaction, etc. Would you be open to a brief conversation next week? So obviously this can be, manipulated and edited how you want to, but it's a pretty good start for a template for a message to send off as a cold outreach. So if you were doing this for hundreds of businesses a day, this could really, really increase the amount of outreach you're doing and in turn the revenue you're bringing in. Again, it's done pretty similar thing for the other 2. Notice about 24-hour accessibility, membership, cancellation policies. So it's found these pain points really, really well and can be something that we can use to target in our outreach messages. But that's the whole workflow there, guys. Not too complicated of a workflow and something that won't take you more than 20 minutes to set up, maybe with a bit of debugging and things like that. But hopefully something that's really, really useful for your outreach campaigns. If you did find this useful, please hit the subscribe and like button. And if you're interested in developing a solution like this for your business, go to our website, which the link will be in the description, and we can help develop this for you.